Welcome to Weeaboo Hell.
It's really Weeaboo Hell this week.
It is really Weeaboo Hell this week. Because without hyperbole, I think I can say that this week we watched the worst show and best movie that have even been mentioned on the show, I think.
Maybe. There's still a little bit of debate, which we'll get to, about whether this is indeed the worst property we have visited on this show thus far.
Alright, so yeah, we'll start negative. We'll start with the TV show we watched this week, which was, let me make sure I get this title just right. Let me pull this up on the old cell phone.
Before we get into it, there's been some amount of discussion about this show, some amount of discourse.
Oh, that's your favorite word.
And we're just, this is just one more hot take for the hot take pot, certainly. But
yeah, it's a bit like after a natural disaster, you talk about who didn't maintain the levees. Is the mayor's fault? Is it FEMA's fault? Really, I think we've got sort of a human condition thing going on with this show, but let me drop the title in here, and I've been out of the loop for a bit, work stuff, education stuff, etc. So I was unaware of the wonderful train
the
wreck.
existence of this show. Yeah, not me. I didn't think that I was going to have to actually watch it, but here we are. My life is quantifiably worse for it.
Yeah, what's the Jim Jeffries quote? This is me now, this is you now. You watch shows like this. And the name of this show is Do You Love Your Mom and Her 2-Hit Multi-Target Attacks?
This show came to my attention via Animemes. So if any of you are listening right now, go fuck yourself. I hate you.
Oh yeah,
you did this to me.
This is the first time a subreddit has really
weeps.
directly made this guy's life worse, right?
Yeah, totally the first time.
I mean, there's worse things than it turning you into the sort of double hardcore communist creature you are now. Like, you could have fallen into some kind of, I don't know, nice guy red pill hole or something.
I did for a second there in college. I guess this is better.
Yeah, but we put you through psychic chemotherapy for that one.
I don't remember it, but maybe that was part of it.
Oh, I remember. We did a whole fucking Clockwork Orange thing for you.
Christ. Yeah, so let's jump in here. I've been drinking just a little bit because it makes it hurt a little bit less.
He's still drinking.
Existence in general, and this show in particular. Where do we start here?
Where do we start?
It's an isekai. This is MILF Isekai. I'm not calling it by its title. Fuck you. I'm not doing it. It's called MILF Isekai, and 5 minutes in,
I know people like calling it MILF Isekai, but that's imprecise because it could be like someone else's mom. It's very important that you understand that this is your mom.
It's your
isekai.
mom. It's your mom because the main character is it's you again. Except they try to do this thing where they make him kind of shitty the way that Kazuma is in the inimitable Konosuba, the one isekai I've ever liked because it's just the Seinfeld version of it. No, they try to make him kind of shitty. He'll like occasionally make cracks or whatever, but they cannot hide how little they wrote this guy. And no, it's still just
I'm
you
kind of
on an adventure in Dragon Quest. Are you having fun yet? Again,
I am impressed how thinly sketched he and his mom are from the outset to. Okay, normally we watch at least 3 episodes going into a TV
premise.
show.
It's an isekai. Cool. We're all caught up here. Fun. Oh, except
the delivery is way worse than that.
Except his mom is here. Cool.
They are sitting around their living room, having the conversation they'll have for the rest of this anime, with him saying, "I am mildly discontented," and her saying, "My breasts are the size of watermelons." And then a government functionary knocks on the door and tells them, "You're going to Isekai World." And at this point, Sam almost punches the screen, which I'm glad he doesn't, because we watched this on my laptop. For my part, I start giggling like a small child. Probably the second biggest laugh I got while I was watching this program. We'll get to the number one
We'll get
later.
to the number one. It was... I laughed too.
So I can't say that I got a 0 number of endorphins from this thing's existence because I at least had those 2 moments. Though it got me thinking about...
No, I don't necessarily argue against this show's existence because it's more of a symptom than a problem itself. But it is a really depressing symptom, certainly.
Yeah, as far as trends collapsing in on themselves, this is less of a scary movie where it starts a bunch of terrible shit, and it's more like Meet the Spartans when a bunch of terrible shit has been coagulating for a while.
This show reminds me of the first 5 to 7 minutes of, a certain genre of Pornhub videos.
Yeah, the classic spank bang front page, and man, I am really impressed at how this show has a weird way of zooming through everything where you could maybe do something interesting, and then slowing down a crawl during all the things you've seen before. Like
It's because it's playing it being character driven. So the whole thing here, right? We were kind of spoon fed this throughout the first couple of episodes. Is that there's
you're in Dragon Quest.
You're in Dragon Quest, except you're with your mom because the whole point of Dragon Quest this week is that you're supposed to get closer with your mom. It's supposed to encourage you to develop a better, closer relationship with your mom,
which is weird, not just for all the sexual text, subtext stuff, but weird because he gets closer to his mom in the first episode. Like, they resolved the question, oh, I'm not being that nice to my mom. I wish my son was being nicer to me. They high five. They kill a bunch of monsters.
Are we done? Done? Can we leave now? No. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they piloted that point a little too hard, and now everything is kind of pointless. There are two basic gags. You do know what? Yeah. There are two basic gags in this show. The first appears to be that his mom is as dumb as a pencil.
Oh yeah, no, that's the first one. Yeah,
she's as dumb as a pencil. I think she must have paid for their home by stripping paint off of buildings for people with her teeth.
Clearly.
And every line of dialogue that comes out of her mouth is some variation of "cooking, shopping, son, sad."
I remember being immensely insulted by this whole thing, and then it occurred to me, oh man, if I find this insulting. So then I called my girlfriend in.
Yeah, I think we clocked in a minute 30 seconds on that.
Yeah, she didn't get too far into this, guys.
For the record, she is not unfamiliar with the genre and mechanics of trash, so it's sort of a special failure.
She was smarter than me though. She got about a minute in and then decided, no, I gain nothing from continuing to view this. This is insulting to me personally, to my gender, to those who identify as anything, honestly. I'm leaving. And then she went to bed. She's currently asleep.
So I guess the first of the 2 or 3 jokes that this thing had is her being dumb as a post. The second of the jokes...
she's overpowered or something.
Yeah, for whatever reason in mom RPG world. And it's full of mom puns and this horrible thing.
Oh god, everything in this world, all of the proper nouns are mom, and it's I get it. I get the joke.
It feels like a serial killer's psyche, but it's never brought to a text level or a subtext level. That there's some...
No, I swear to fucking God. We're gonna get 8 episodes in, and then Mamako, that's the name of the mom, is going to just stare at the screen and tell me to fucking kill John Lynn.
It's entirely possible. So yeah, she's super MLG, and there are a lot of bad title drops. Music, video games, anime, whatever. But this show has the worst title drop I've heard this year. After she picks up her 2 glowing magic swords, and what? You were only supposed to take 1. She kills a bunch of monsters after her son gets, I don't know, Dragon Quest erectile dysfunction in the middle of their big fight. And she asks her son, do you like your mom's dual target attacks? And that's his head against the wall, by the way. That's a very visual gag for this podcast, but I felt myself almost glitch out a little as my brain tried to defend itself. It still tried to just paper over that with other content, like say other things had happened in that stretch of time.
I'm so tired, Denard.
He is so tired.
I'm so tired and defeated. And I hate Isekai. I hate Isekai so much. I hate the people who like it. It won't stop. It's like fucking trap. It won't stop, and I have to be subjected to it at least fucking twice every season.
It has really dug in its trenches. Like, it's on some Ludendorff World War I shit.
I thought for a second that it wanted to try and be interesting. I was gonna say again, but no, it was never particularly interesting. For the first time, last season, or was it the season before? I don't know. The one with the shield hero. That was almost kind of cool. I didn't end up liking it very much.
The thing that happens is, like,
for fuck's sake, it tried.
Good self-referential things open up the door to terrible,
to bad self-referential things. No, absolutely. It's the difference between.
It's like the difference between the World War II movies and Inglourious Bastards and getting testicular cancer. Okay, maybe that's me. Hold on, I can do better than that. It's the difference between the World War II movies looped within Inglourious Bastards and finding out you have a brain tumor. Okay, I can do this, I promise. There is a metaphor for this that isn't just cancer.
No, I've almost got it. It's the difference between Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and Date Movie. Here we go. Yeah,
that is the line. And this is deep within the Date Movie Meet the Spartan spectrum. And by the way, it aspires to comedy.
It does. It really wants you to be laughing. It really wants to let you in on the joke here because it's trying to be cool. It's sitting on its chair the wrong way. Saying, listen, fellas.
And I've got to give this.
Let's rap.
I've got to give this show something because, like, a lot of the shit that we've been dunking on has been bad action adventure on this show, or bad titillation, or just straight titillation. But
this is that.
Feeling the pain of bad comedy in the
anime
it's also context,
it's mostly bad comedy. It's really also bad action.
Really was unique.
It's also bad titillation, and it's also bad action adventure. But mostly, it's just not fucking funny, and it's boring. Holy shit, it's so boring. Oh god, they just talk. That's the thing. You're imagining just this storm of panty shots and clothing damage or whatever, and oh god, it's so fucking tiresome. Like,
oh yeah, it's not a storm of anything. The content is not dense enough.
That would have been tiresome just if it was that. But they pepper that in, and it sucks when it happens. But mostly it's just boring, just people talking for many minutes at a time, and like it doesn't sound like much, but in a 22-minute show, when you spend 3 minutes talking about the fucking mechanics of how this video game works. Oh my. Isekai is a genre for people who actually liked watching their friends play a video game in their basement and not joining in themselves. It's a strange form of cuckoldry. I don't get it.
The show does a very special job of making the video game everything is fake, none of this matters problem worse than like an implicit plot problem they can sort of write your way around or add different stakes.
Well, yeah, because
every joke underlines that you should not care what is happening.
You shouldn't care what's happening here. No, because
not only is it fake, they also kind of suck at it. Like everyone but the mom sucks at it, and the mom kind of sucks at it.
She kind of sucks at it too. No, it's because they want the stakes to be emotional. Like clearly they have to be, right? Because they definitely aren't personal. The stakes have to be emotional, but I don't care about either of these characters. In fact, I don't like them very much. And they don't really suffer enough for me to take pleasure in that. So what am I left with?
I don't know.
Nothing.
The mom suffers because sometimes the son is mean to her for 45 seconds before we redo the growing together scene. And then presumably the show should end every time that this happens because they're just supposed to beat the game by growing together. But it's not. And in terms of titillation, first off, his mom looks like, I want to say 18, so unless there's some, like, groundbreaking stem cell research behind this kid's birth.
Morgan came in and asked his mom was in fact his younger sister.
Yeah, from the outside, it looked like an Emoto show, which is, I think that's an achievement, like, going for one
I
fetish
hate
and...
that Emoto show is a term.
It is a term.
It's just like a thing. It's just shorthand that I can use and you can use, and people will understand what it means because that's a thing that exists. Sorry. Anime is gonna turn me into Tipper Gore within the next 5 years, and I don't like it, and I'm watching it happening to me.
The genre of titillation in this is a bit like... I don't know how many of you are into pro wrestling, maybe even mildly because we keep coming back to it, but it's like cheap heat.
It is instead of a villain doing villainous things, it's a bad guy wrestler spinning on the good guy wrestler, cuz anyone could do that.
Anyone can do that. Anyone can come in and say your local sports team sucks.
Anyone could go for a below the belt shot while the ref's back is turned. It's easy. It's easy and it's not too particularly effective.
I remember the low point of the cheap heat in this. Well, there are two competing sort of low point standards. The first is this recurring panty shot that follows one character and you don't really care the first time.
Well, the first time it was obnoxious.
It was obnoxious. When I say you don't care, you mean it doesn't even earn the reaction that they want of like...
They gave us the panty shot. Yeah, it's the teal and white striped ones. What the fuck else did you think? Then they gave it to us again, and I was annoyed the first time, and I was insulted the second time.
Also, I think they actually reuse the image of the panty shot. Because it's also extraordinarily, like, lazily animated as a whole scene in the dark. All of those panty shots combined compete with this one shithouse moment in the second episode where the attacking slimes dissolve all of the mom's clothing and the son clumsily stumbles onto her because that's what you do, I guess.
I blame Ken Akamatsu for all of this.
I do blame
he is at the beginning of all of this. If you follow it back, dude, you end at Love Hina. And as much as I enjoyed Love Hina, this is Ken Akamatsu's fucking fault.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you should send like a T100 after him before Negima to stop this, or if you send like a T1000 all the way back to like the second chapter of Love Hina and just get some liquid metal Terminator action on him, you know?
It was a show I enjoyed, but I think if it was unwritten from existence, life would go on. I'd be okay.
That thing is a starter domino in a whole bunch of media bullshit. During the episode, we actually talked about whether the dot hack sign guy should be off to prevent this.
No, he didn't do anything wrong. No, it's the Sword Art Online guy. This is his fault. The isekai boom did not happen in, like, the late 90s, early 2000s. It happened post-2011. Do you know what happened in fucking 2011? Sword Art Online happened in 2011. Yes. We're now in, like, the second or third wave of isekai as the genre reacts to itself. God fucking help us all.
Yeah, we've already had the biggest earthquake, but we keep getting these fucking tremors. And it just keeps happening. There's a really weird thing in these isekai things, by the way. Like, with them all being in this Dragon Quest world, despite that, and despite the marketing of it to theoretically, like, gamers or game-obsessed people, because, this is you, for some reason, I always get the impression during these things, particularly during this one, that they don't particularly play many of these games, like whoever's writing this shit.
One of them does. One of these people played these games. Then he told the rest of the writing staff about them. And they took okay notes. They took okay notes about it. You
know what the jokes about video games in this feel like? It feels like Chris Hardwick saying some dumbass line with the word sports ball in it.
Almost.
I mean, maybe not that.
I see your point. Of, like, almost
condescension, but just
it's not quite as it's not quite as mean spirited as that. It's cynical, certainly. It doesn't actually seem to hate its audience as much as you're suggesting, which I guess. No, I don't think that's a point in its favor. I think it gets a 0 for that, not a negative, not a positive. That it doesn't hate its audience.
I think that hate would actually lend this thing some more fucking personality, because there is a desert in every non-fucking your mom thought in this thing's brain. Like,
maybe it hates the audience in a different way, but it definitely seems to think that that its audience are morons. And given how popular this thing has become since the beginning of the summer season, there might be some truth to that.
Yeah, its audience might be morons. We might be morons for watching it.
Oh, I'm certainly a moron for watching it.
Yeah,
there's no might in this.
It makes me ask some big fucking questions like, do you like anime? Do we like anime?
Here's the thing. You asked that. Pound for pound, I don't know that I do. Given how much anime I've watched versus how much of it has been terrible and that I've hated and has made me want to die. There's been a lot of that. There's been quite a bit of that. I think this is mostly your fault, though, because you keep sitting me down in front of this shit. I had to watch Conception. Do you have any idea how disgusting that was for me?
I kind of wanted to see if you would survive Conception. I want to know what the before and after of Sam Legault and Conception was like. And it was...
I didn't understand allosexuals before it, and I still don't understand them now.
Oh, there's so much wisdom to be gained from my experiments. I'm really glad I've done this for mankind. Oh, by the way, anyone, if I disappear within like 2 or 3 weeks of this episode, I just want to establish that Sam, Mute Monkey Legault, is the main suspect in this disappearance of Denard, Blind Monkey Dale.
I'll co-sign
He did
this.
it.
Yeah, no, I will sign off in this. Yeah, it's probably me.
He did it. It's very important. And it's hard to call these little pranks a win because I make him watch these things and then I'm also there watching it. I don't know, DJ Khalid, you played yourself. Isn't it funny how much this hurts?
Here's the poetically stupid thing, though, is that I suggested that we do MILF Isekai tonight. That was my call.
Yeah, I was impressed. Like, I felt like I trained you to hurt yourself. Like, it's some kind of Pavlovian response at this point.
I thought it'd just be, like kind of bad or something, and we could laugh at. No, it's cancerously terrible, in fact.
I think what separates it from like a Birdemic style experience is that the creative spark is far more cynical. Like, it's a bit of a cultural smash and grab. We know these things are in at this time.
It's what actually sets it oddly apart from either the second worst or still the worst thing we've ever viewed on this, which was
Owari no Seraph,
Seraph of the End, which Owari no Seraph is the story of a writer who desperately wanted it but did not have it, and so he stole it. This was dreamed up not in a boardroom, but by a man who had done a bunch of math, realized, oh fuck, you know what doesn't exist yet? You know what a hole could be filled and could make me money?
Yeah,
and then he made it.
This is deep in apocalypse. A man crawls from Granny's pits, and he fumbles through the trash, and etched on a single discarded piece of paper is the anti-life equation. And he distills that shit into a program, which is
here we are
launched
now
at Earth like a fucking missile. And fucking Superman jumps up in the middle of the night and thinks, no, it's probably fine. And he goes back to sleep. And we're doomed.
And we're doomed because it's not fine.
It's not fine.
They have it now.
We're now in mom fuck isekai world. Once again, not MILF isekai. At least you're not related to random MILF. Like, this isn't woman next door isekai. This is your mom because he's you. And once again, she is just the mom. Her thoughts are cooking, shopping, son.
Here's what happened. The first thing that happened was, I guess, the atomic bombs. After a couple of decades, we got hentai, right? Because hentai is drawn and not acted, you could get away with certain things. For instance, incest hentai, that happens. It takes a couple decades, but American pornography catches on to it. Then Japan catches on to the fact that American pornography has caught on to it.
This is science.
Here. And then this show exists as a result of that. This is what's known in the biz as step fantasy. And
where do we go from here?
I don't really know what point I'm trying to prove here, but at the very least, yeah, now you understand this show's lineage. Because it absolutely does not exist if step fantasy did not become a popular porn genre, within the last two years. I'm gonna go with 2 years here. Also, this was based on a light novel. I don't give a shit how long the light novel's been running. I don't care if I'm factually wrong here. I'm still right.
Yeah, if this is based off of like etchings found on a fucking pervert's dorm room wall in 1980, it is still just riding the wave of the moment. And I remember there was one point I would almost call it the incel sublime.
We took this trip to Garden Grove.
And it was... They were in a well. I don't remember why they were in a well. I don't really care why they were in a well. But it contrived for two separate characters to be grabbing the mother's breasts at the same time in exact, like, parallel motion. And it almost looked like a fallen world's, like, Virgin Mary image. Like, this is what we will leave behind to describe this era to people. Like, we elected a reality TV star, we filled the oceans of garbage, we burned the Amazon, and then this was the image we left to warn future civilizations. No, this was the image we left to celebrate our own glory. Because we believed we had done right. It was really funny. It made me smile.
It was...
Another thing that made me smile...
if it made you smile, then it did its job, because I think they put that in there because they thought it was funny.
Yes, but there's laughing at and with, and I guess this sort of brings us to a debate we had over a line in this, which was the slimes attack, because Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest. Their attack causes her clothes to dissolve.
First, it's just her top. Yeah, and then we'd gone into it for a second there. Then we get the cynical fucking gag where, like, they're both covered in slime and they're falling on top of one another. It's like, get it? Because, like, that's how people fuck, I guess.
Yeah. Hopefully for some of you it moves. Anyway, she drops the line, "No, mommy's wearing a thong today." And I've been watching a lot of stand-up lately, and I think only one or two people, like Chris Rock, like Dave Chappelle, like maybe Bill Burr, made me laugh the way that the fucking sublime terribleness of that line made me laugh. It really was a pure experience. I wasn't really sure.
I was laughing right with you, and I wasn't really sure if it was because I hated this so fucking much that it became funny to me again, or if the joke actually did track.
These are the questions we are left
I think
with.
I hate it. No, I think I hate it. Like, we were planning on taking positions here. Denard was gonna be, no, it's just terrible, so much so that it's funny again, and I was gonna try and convince someone, definitely not me, that maybe this was actually just a one good joke in this show. No, I think...
Whoops.
I think this was the laughter of a defeated man.
Yeah, that's just, the brain rattling against its cage.
Oh, here's the thing. Mm-hmm. As bad as this show is, as bad as this show gets, as bad as this show still continues to be, there's one thing that could happen that could redeem the entire fucking thing. Just one thing. One thing. At the end of it all. Because let's back up here. Let's back up here a little bit. Let's back up here. And remind you people that the whole point behind the existence of this isekai that they're in, virtual reality, fully immersive, whatever. The motherfucker
used the word M like 7 times as a running gag.
The motherfucker literally got sucked into the computer like this was a fucking cartoon from the 90s on PBS. The whole point of this thing is to grow closer with one's mom. Here's the thing. This all becomes funny again if at the end of this all, the reason this computer program isekai exists is to convince him to fuck his mom. And that's the way he wins.
If there is a government-sponsored incest program,
You just have to fuck your mom.
it's so obvious, don't you
It's
see?
so simple. All you had to do this whole time was fuck your mom.
Just get horizontal or perpendicular or fuck it diagonal. We don't care. We just want
you
part
were
of
there.
you.
And you were there.
Oh man, there are other people in this world, by the way. Like, there are other mother, daughter, mother, son, whatever parents. This is entirely a mom-child world.
This seems to just be like the story of one of many of these little parents. And if the point of this... Sorry, I really, really hope that this is what ends up coming to be. I really hope this is canon, because that's so fucking funny.
We could dream. I could always understand how the show came to be in that case. There are so many weird background questions. Like, okay, so everyone in this game is like a mom or someone's kid, right? So are there just a bunch of dads laughing in their fucking empty houses, bringing their mistresses home, doing cartwheels around the fucking house naked because they managed to con the rest of the house into this fucking video game?
Yeah, but they're getting cucked by their kids. Joke's on them.
Oh man. That is fucking pure. Oh my god.
Imagine what happens like when they win because they fucked their mom and then they get just like,
oh, they get warped back
you
naked.
win, and then they have to go back to their lives now.
Oh man, that's gonna be a really awkward thing to explain to your son/brother.
They do this, and then this whole thing ended up being a stealth season of Black Mirror.
If you guys didn't have enough fun with striking vipers, get ready for this shit. Side note, the whole Black Mirror thing, striking vipers. There would totally be griefers who, like, invite you to have sex and beat your ass, right?
This is the one about, like, the two bros who have their characters have sex, but it's not gay because it's in game, right? That's the one?
It is that one, and
Okay.
I feel like that would happen a lot. Like, the whole world of sexual griefing opened up almost more questions than the original premise.
I could talk about this, but I'd actually have to watch Black Mirror, and I don't think I want to.
Fair enough. I ironically have only seen that episode of Black Mirror, making me the worst consumer they could ask for, because it's just that image of Char Aznavour saying, "I came here to laugh at you. I have not come to Black Mirror in good faith."
I have that image on my keychain.
I might make that my cell phone background. I don't know why it's not.
It has been the profile picture of many, many different accounts on many different platforms of mine throughout the last 10, 15 years or so of my life.
It's strong, it's strong. I kind of want to work it into my upcoming birthday party somehow, but I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to do it. But it'll be there.
Definitely let me know. It was my my Google avatar for until very recently, until I realized that I had to send work emails now. And these are what my coworkers, immediate superiors, people who could decide my my immediate financial future saw when I emailed them. They saw a blonde anime dude in bluff shades telling them that he's here to laugh at them. So I had to change
Really,
it out.
that sounds very promotable to me.
Well, I mean, he promotes himself.
True.
You know,
I guess
through murder.
It doesn't work that well outside of a wartime scenario. Unless some of you guys out there get inventive. If you kill your boss and get promoted and don't get caught, drop us a line. Use a pseudonym, but drop us a line. We're very interested in hearing about that.
Well, tell your story.
The other thing we watched, and I think the only reason we did not give up on anime as a whole this week, was an older thing, a classic thing.
Now more than 10 years old.
Now more than 10 years old. Weird, right? It's actually my first time seeing it. Did you ever catch it before?
I do not believe I did.
So this is my first time seeing Sword of the Stranger.
Damn fine film.
It's almost bizarre that I have never seen this thing before, because I'm actually a deep lover of, like, live action anime, whatever, martial arts films. Like, that's just always been something I've had a lot of affinity for. I love the Bruce Lee stuff, the Jet Li stuff, Tony Jaa, Uko Iwai, all that shit.
Iko Iwai kind of ruined action, like the action genre for me, because nothing will ever approach The Raid or The Raid 2.
Those two things are fucking achievements. One of the only ways of, like, action on a similar wavelength didn't manage to keep the plot up the way those two did. Like, The Night
Comes for Us
is a great movie.
It's a
by
great
the way.
fucking
Watch
film.
that fucking movie.
And Iko Uwais is in it, and it's probably the most violent film I have ever watched in a long history of watching violent films.
Yeah. So this is a less
Oh,
violent...
right, yeah, anime.
Yeah, but yeah, this is a less violent movie, but it's very artfully done. It's a very artful movie, I want to say. It's very well directed.
Yeah.
Very pristine movie. It is a... It has a lot of it has a sort of slow, meditative pace that would be anathema to like a comedy podcast if I wasn't fucking great.
I mean, if you're so great, do you have talking points for this one? Because I don't.
Oh yeah, sure. So my first thought was, as this movie opened to a village in a dire straits, I just thought to myself, man, being just a village before gunpowder in a movie, just a rookie mistake. Like, why are you doing that? Get your shit together. You know how this is going to end for you. There will be fire. There will be a man standing above you on a horse. Someone's actions will be inspired for the future. I don't know. Do we need to really outline it? It's sort of an older film.
It was a film that I had really only heard of until we watched it just this last week.
Yeah, I actually was originally exposed to it by it was a YouTuber. What was it? Giguk. I was watching this random video, and he was talking. He had this video about fight scenes, and I like fight scenes because I know I'm compensating for some surging ball of violence in the back of my psyche.
I mean, aren't we all?
And this was cited as just one of the best ones of all time within the whole anime spectrum. And
in terms of fight choreography,
in terms of fight choreography, yeah. Specifically, that's that fight towards the end that he has with the blonde assassin.
I'd put it in my top 5.
Yeah, it is extremely well done. And something that's interesting, sort of thematically, with this movie is that it is the most international feudal Japan martial arts movie we'll ever see.
It's fascinating. You get.
Because, like, the main character is basically, like, you find out halfway through that he must be, like,
European
Dutch
or something.
Irish or something. He has red hair. He dyes his hair to blend in and everything. There are Chinese assassins who are these not assassins, like, a medley of Chinese warriors, we'll say.
Mm-hmm.
Dispatched to, like, try to get this thing for the emperor. There's this kid who's secretly from China, came to Japan. It's like...
No, he's from Japan, lived in China, came back to Japan, knows Chinese.
Yeah, this thing is like Thor Ragnarok in terms of, like, it could use immigrant song without irony and it would just make sense. But
yeah.
But the basic premise here is that there's this Chinese group looking for this one kid because they want to kill him to make this thing that the emperor thinks will make him immortal. It obviously won't, but, you know, it's the values of the era, and...
Well, they never end up getting to do it. Spoiler, sorry. They never end up getting to do it.
Oh, yeah, the protagonist kicks too much ass.
Because the protagonist is too much of a goddamn monster.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah, it picks up that cowboy film influence in that. Instead of, in this case, the man of no name is just called No Name in the movie. Like, they refer to him as No Name a few times.
We're going to be referring to a lot of people by their physical features in this one, because this movie does a whole lot of things. It does not drop names too amazingly often. Definitely not often enough that I learned everyone's name.
Yeah, I would call this the polar opposite of the hilarious thing that happened in Handshakers, where they dropped proper nouns every 14 seconds. Oh, he has fond memories of Handshakers, which he totally would have watched of his own free will without knowing me.
Yes, lovely show for lovely people. Loved watching it. Just fun time for everyone. Somehow is still better than fucking Milf Isekai.
But over here in sort of the Stranger Land, obviously its strongest weapon is straight on direction.
It's amazingly well directed, yeah.
Beautifully animated. They keep the story sort of to a simple, sort of bare bones thing, aside from a few clever turns.
Well, there was a whole lot of what would you call it? Intrigue going on.
True, yeah.
Up until the climax of the film, where you've got, let's say, three discrete groups with their own agendas that are kind of circling around this one boy and the Ronin who sort of, I guess, takes up with him, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that's a sort of theme or structure that comes to a lot of martial arts movies across various different grades. Like, there's a complex political world, and then there's a guy whose bad motherfucker is just stronger than the political currents of their era.
Do you want this fight? I don't think you want this fight.
Yeah, it's got that flavor. You know, sometimes Captain America is just in an elevator and he's like, decline of the American Empire. I could punch through that. I want to say there are a lot of clever small moments in the movie that I like. There was this interaction with a monk, which is sort of a character moment coming into No Name's backstory as a murderer for various forces. And there's also just the question of the monk trying to get his own complicity. This monk ends up killing himself, and I enjoy that scene because I don't know, I'm like 4 out of 5 Richard Dawkins on the fucking atheist scale, but that's a whole other thing. There was a very enjoyable sequence where the bad guy, I guess both established political factions are sort of bad guys. The Chinese faction talks about using this one lord as a bait or distraction, and then the Japanese guy just fucking shoots him as soon as he gets put up on the post. It's like, oh, okay, it's on in South Park terms. It's on now, the dance-off, let's go.
What happened with me when we were watching this, we were working with some limited time here. We ended up watching the dub. I know. Which was done by the Ocean Group, I'm pretty sure, who've done the dubs for various different Gundam shows throughout the ages.
Oh yeah, notably Gundam 00.
Gundam 00.
I would say one of our favorites because it's very good, but there's a lot of really good Gundam.
Really
I have nothing to say.
A lot of really fantastic Gundam out there. If you're getting into Gundam, I would always recommend Gundam 00. Very approachable, very introduces the concepts of the franchise without a whole lot of the baggage that it's accrued across the decades. But the point being is that it also has just like a really rock solid dub, I've always thought, which is very much helped by the inimitable Scott McNeil. Who voiced in Gundam 00 the character Ali Al-Sachez, who is this fantastic monster of a human being.
The crux of the Ali Al-Sachez character is that he likes war crimes.
He likes war crimes and getting paid
Pringles.
for them. And man, is he theatrical about it. This guy is great. He's having so much fun. He's so happy to be here, killing people and burning cities, and he has this kind of delivery, kind of like this kid.
Yeah.
And Scott McNeil uses he's in the dub for sort of the stranger, playing the if not the main antagonist, then definitely the heavy, and the guy who you always knew was going to be the final boss fight at the end, the Chinese assassin who seems to be of European origin. It's mentioned every now and again, and he uses
the guy is literally like blonde. There's literally like blonde, square jawed. Like,
no, absolutely.
They make a point. There's a whole thing where the master considers him a barbarian, and
dude's probably from Sweden. I would figure. Probably, or Swedish descent. I don't know. Like I could sort of see him being a member of the Varangian Guard who somehow made it even further east.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny movie in that I'm pretty sure it's more diverse than most things said in the present.
Well, here's the thing. Scott McNeil voices this character.
Yeah.
He uses very much the same voice that he used for Ali Al-Sachez.
Right.
So I was always waiting for this guy to start committing the war crimes. And the thing is that he's not that guy.
Yeah, he's not that guy.
He's just a guy out there for the fight of his life, and he'll kill people if he's in combat with them. He'll give them an advantage if he feels like, that'd make things more interesting. And he's kind of disgusted by the fact that they seem to be sacrificing this child so that, this do-nothing emperor across the ocean can live for even longer than he was going to. Certainly, like, longer than he really deserves to.
Yeah, the Ali Al-Sachez voice leaves you hilariously astray. Like, I'm wondering how many kids is he gonna kick into a well.
He was just a guy who wanted a good fight, and he got one.
Does he even kill that many people?
He kills
a lot of people in self-defense.
He kills a decent amount of people,
which is a wonderful action sequence. By like watching him move, they give him a lot of the good flips. He's very Ricochet.
Yeah, that's accurate.
But the other such thing is funny because like his only act of betrayal in this movie is when this selfish old dick who's been calling him a barbarian literally the entire movie is about to just jip him out of a fight by shooting him with a gun so he can kill this kid. And he sort of weighs like, okay, this is order I've worked with my entire life, or I could have this bad
fucking fight. So he kills the old man who is about to kill the stranger / no name. Yes, no, as you said, take this fight that he could have away from him. So the old man is, I guess, technically the main antagonist of this flick, but you kind of know how this is going to end from the second you see, from this. Oh god, I'm sorry. I really should have taken a little bit more time to look up and memorize the names of all these characters because, like I said, they're dropped maybe once or twice throughout the movie, and there's a lot of them. Point being, the whole film has this fun sort of inevitability to it, where you sort of know exactly how it is going to end.
Yeah.
And you sort of and the surprises are sort of watching the end unfold before you as all of these people get caught up in this inevitable sword fight that's going to happen.
And I've got to say that final sword fight that YouTube pointed me at, or I should just name the guy again, Giga, because whenever someone points you towards content and you sort of scalp it, maybe you should give it a shout out. I don't know, is that like citations in an academic paper, like just fucking social media shouts? Fuck it, whatever.
No, weeb shout out weebs. It's a weeb empowerment or something.
Yeah, weeb empowerment, like perpetual weeb motion. Watching that scene reminded me of a nice little article that Film Crit Hulk wrote before he went fucking crazy, and it was just about like his theories on what comprised a good fight scene. And this scene, Sword of the Stranger, had almost everything. Like, it had the psychology, it had the style, it had the sense of geography. The geography stood out for me in a lot of the action in this movie, actually.
Yeah,
especially when he's falling off that tower, and they just use the shape of the whole thing very well.
Well, not just the final fight scene, but pretty much, no, like you're saying, pretty much every fight scene in this flick has some interesting piece of geography to it that makes it, all the more interesting. Whether it be as simple as it takes place on a bridge and there's a very real danger of falling off this bridge during the fight, to the quickly collapsing sacrificial altar that they built that's about the size of a tower, to the rooftops, to the interior, the kind of cramped claustrophobic interior of an old Buddhist shrine kind of earlier on in the film. They very much like knew how to write an interesting fight in this film and kind of flex that pretty much everywhere.
There was a point that came up when we were watching it, actually. It almost draws from the strength of those old Jackie Chan flicks, kind of. Like, we always make jokes about him with a ladder and a baby, but it's because those movies used him having a ladder or a baby very well. And I guess it's less silly here, but it's very effective.
It's really fun watching Jackie Chan flicks and sort of the kind of Jackie Chan flick. What would you call it? Fight style choreography.
Rumble in the Bronx Core.
Rumble the Bronx Core type thing. Like, what was really surprising to me was seeing it in The Last Jedi a couple years back. Just, the fight in the throne room. However you felt about that film, and like, no, I loved it, but
I thought it was great too.
But that whole fight in the throne room towards honestly, it was only the end of the second act. That was a very long movie. Was like straight the fuck out of a Jackie Chan flick, especially with like the way that the various different royal guards are introduced with their various like weapons, each one of them more terrifying than the last. It's sort of fun watching that movie's DNA in action. That is also the case in this film as well.
It's interesting as a modern viewer and modern person, and I don't know, somewhat young. Is 27 young? Let's pretend 27 is young so I don't kill myself.
27... It's been feeling pretty old to me. I don't know about you.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm like an infant. But from that perspective, it's interesting seeing something that clearly was very influential after that.
Mm-hmm.
This seems to be just a guiding line in a way just a lot of sword combat is animated. It probably had my favorite animated sword fight.
What's it up against here?
Up against here, I was thinking about when Genndy Tartakovsky did.
I was thinking,
business.
Star Wars, Clone Wars.
There was that Anakin Ventress thing that just went through the whole entire silent temple fight, Rain against the lightsabers, all of that. And wherever your fetishes lie, rate whatever better.
Another really good contender here is also Genndy Tartakovsky, the Escape from Galaluna episode of Symbionic Titan.
That was quality. That one was also one that leaned on the story about it very well in terms of the placement momentum. That was a good draw. But once again, as a viewer of all of these modern sword fights, it's interesting seeing something that this person has obviously seen and thinks about as they make their own slashy, stabby material.
2007 was a fantastic year for anime. I'm realizing now. That was like Gurren Lagann. That was Gundam 00. That was this.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
was,
Code Geass was happening around 2007. It might have been the year after.
it was a time where everything felt possible, and you didn't have to put someone in a Dragon Quest to fuck their mom. But actually, no, that's sort of a declinism kind of thing. There were different shitty things going on.
There were different. There definitely were. I think the harem genre was like operating at full fucking capacity.
True.
Back then, back in like the mid to late 2000s, and most of it was crap too.
Yeah, harem is. I guess everyone has different, I don't know, psychological switches, but harem was always one I could barely even understand the appeal of. You did a good job of explaining it to me once. Like, it's the idea of like someone of like being wanted everywhere, being like that guy.
It's honestly not even that complicated. Yeah,
It's not that complicated. I'm just
it's
fucking weird.
It's so very simple and so very base that you think that anyone could see through it. Same thing with isekai, but no, they don't, because in fact people do want to feel like this, and it seems like it's wrong to shame them for it, but their desire
really fun. Like,
their desires have given us such shitty media.
To me, the whole isekai thing. We'll get back to Sword of Stranger in a second, but I just want to shit on this genre a little more before we do our next episode, which will be dedicated to shitting on isekai before we move on with our lives for like, I don't know, 5 weeks or so. To me, all the isekai shittiness, it's okay to have a foot fetish, right? But like, if foot fetish took over a medium for 3 years, like there's just a constant rain of feet shows, and there were like hack feet dynamics within it.
And like after the third year, we just sort of like hop right into the feet, and they'd like give you a token explanation of like, okay, we're watching a feet movie right now. Okay, cool. We don't need to make any more excuses or anything like that. Okay, all right, let's get going here.
To me, that's what it feels like. Like, I am just besieged by feet. And there's a Quentin Tarantino joke you can make here, but once upon a time in Hollywood is great. So
I was always wondering which one of us was going to make the Quentin Tarantino joke here.
I mean, it's going to be me. Kill Bill Volume 1 is my favorite movie. I've got to just jump right on that. It's like a
up
glowing
there.
fucking
It's
sun.
definitely up there for me. I'm not sure it's my favorite. I actually don't actually. Don't hate me. I don't even think it's my favorite Tarantino film. I think that might be Inglourious.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're an
Basterds.
Inglourious friend. I could smell it on you. This guy loves his history, which sort of helps him with this movie, actually.
Yes, it was interesting, kind of like trying to date this movie. I think eventually they just tell you when it is, because like the Ming Dynasty is happening. It seems to be the work. It's like the 1500s. This movie takes place in the 1500s. A Nobunaga is off, Nobunagaing, somewhere outside the context of this movie, which is why
just having a whole party.
Which is why a foreign, what would you call it, cadre was allowed sort of in. This daimyo was, able to give them permission in, because there really is no central authority.
There's a lot going on, and it's mostly generating bodies.
It's like really cool, yeah.
Yeah, this movie has a cool eye for history. It has a nice reminder that every now and then people just sort of drifted.
When did Samurai Champloo air? That was way earlier than this, right?
Samurai Champloo?
It was like sometime after Cowboy Bebop, which is mid to late 90s. Yeah, I want to say it was like early 2000s, right? This is not really related to. Well, it's only tangentially related.
It comes up in our brains because it's just another good slashy stabby show.
Slashy stabby samurai show.
But yeah, this movie was a breath of fresh air after we submerged ourselves as far into the garbage can as we have gone. Until next week, when I make Sam watch Isekai Quartet. And a second thing, probably.
I mean, if we're watching Isekai Quartet, I think there's been too much ink spilled over Konosuba. There's nothing we could really add to it. I think I might just watch that on my own time just to make myself a little bit happy.
We could add to it. I do really love the rich flavor of my own voice.
But we could talk about anything.
Sure.
Well, we'll figure it out and we'll let you know. Until then, this has been Weeaboo Hell. And
it's Weeaboo Hell.
It's Weeaboo Hell.
I am Denard, Blind Monkey Dale.
I am Sam, Mute Monkey Legault.
Fun fact about those names, by the way. We have a very lazy friend who at one point was Deaf Monkey. There was a whole, like, hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. The website's seenoevil.com. Well, I guess see more evil now because I thought that was cool or whatever. Yeah, he's probably asleep right now.
I think he's asleep right now or playing Overwatch.
Or playing Overwatch. But yeah, we love him. We love all you people. Probably, well, not all of you. Some of you watch Isekai. Have a great weekend. Okay, so this is the volume I'd normally talk at when we're doing an episode, and that looks like a waveform.
Okay, this is the volume that I normally talk at, which I think is comparatively quieter. Looks okay to me. These look like comparably thick lines.
Yeah, those lines are thick. All right.
Oh wait, hold on. I'm gonna try to do that thing where you make a penis with the waveforms. Ah!
Yeah, that's a dick.
Yeah, I
You
did
made
it.
a waveform dick. Let's see, man. It's kind of girthy. Or actually, maybe it's more of a big testicle base.
You got some big ass balls right there.
Yeah, those are cancer balls. Those. Your doctor just looked at them, shook his head twice, and asked you where you want to take your last vacation. They can do all kinds of Make-A-Wish shit for you if you want. All right, are we drinking any more during this, or?
This is all we got.
Okay.
My White Claw's empty.
His White Claw is empty. He's trying to deal with his new life.